This is a questionable reality production. Hello, I'm Zander Crowns, and this is AP Post History. Now let's get started. Today we'll be covering topic 4.3, Critics of the Dark Age Antics. The PQS Dark Age, as some call it, has been quite a strange and confusing time. From the strange little shelties barking around in our blood vessels to the just general reversion to Dark Age lifestyles. And amidst all the changes, some sought to point out the inaccuracies and absurdities in their time. There were three movements that sought to criticize this Dark Age. First was the Accuracists, who would coalesce into one very judgmental society. The Accuracists were an annoying and pretentious bunch, as they were outraged at the inaccuracies in the recreations of medieval society. You see, to them, if all these various nations wanted to adopt all those Dark Age practices and pretend like they were living in the medieval times, they ought to do it right. To them, people still clung to various innovations and ideals that were absent in the actual Dark Ages, and thus preventing society from truly living up to their supposed goal. For example, there were no convenience stores in the Age of Night, fun fact, and there was a pronounced lack of fiefdoms. Everyone was much too clean, and the air smelled much too nice. Given all these shortfalls, they concluded, and I would say accurately, that people could never accurately recreate the original Dark Ages, and thus should not attempt to try so. The Accuracists were universally hated, and I mean that's quite predictable. And those bearing sympathies to them were duly excised from their respective nations, as they too were hated. You see, it's just the whole Dark Age revival was meant to be a fun social experiment which would bring new and exciting flavors to the bland way of life so established before. Therefore, as long as that broad goal was achieved, who cared if there was a grocery store or two? Most of the Accuracists would be eliminated via the 23 Steps test. By the year 1313 PQS, the Accuracists were gone in totality, much to everybody's relief, I would say. The just as contrived movement following the Accuracists was the Society of Irritated People, or SIP. Instead of bemoaning the inaccuracies of the time, they simply just thought it was stupid. Agents of SIP would seek out crowded and public spaces and then give out long, biased, and drawn-out rants about how stupid all the countries in the world were. In fact, let's go to the History Makers segment, where one of these agents gives out their special type of rant. In the ancient times of the pre-apocalypse, people would denounce actions and ideas as socially regressive and more akin to the Dark Ages. But now we willingly embrace the regressiveness of the Dark Age? How stupid is that? What was wrong with our society to begin with? This is simply out of control and a fundamental threat to intelligence and democracy. I am ashamed of what this world has fallen into. That is, of course, pronounced stupidity. The problem about these rants is that they didn't seem to know who their audience was. The only people they convinced were already agents of SIP. The masses they wanted to convert were scared off by their extremism and seeping hatred. Now, most post-historians agree that the agents of SIP felt very passionate about the subject and all, but such passion really didn't do them any good at all. Most of the SIP would be eliminated via the 23 Stabs test. Last but not least, well, maybe least, depending on your outlook of the whole matter, they were certainly the least creative, were the Samnites. Now, you may be concerned how they came back, but don't worry. Before they could gain any ground and make their criticisms known, most of the Samnites would be eliminated via the 23 Stabs test. And that was the end of that. And that's it. Topic 3 of Unit 4 is complete. If you want to find success in your post-history class and be eliminated via the 23 Stabs test, as we all hope to be one day, consider subscribing and liking this video. My goal is to see that each and every one of you get a 92 in your class and a 7 on the exam in Quintober. Alright, Zander Crowns, checking out.